Neuroscience and Consciousness. Its mission is to share experiences of self-transformation, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, through conscious eating, mindful meditation, and relevant philosophy. The group's regular programming includes research seminars such as this one on consciousness, yoga wisdom talks, meditation practice sessions, mantra music, conscious cooking classes, and occasional retreats. So tonight's audience, I'm expecting many of you likely work in Silicon Valley on AI or doing research on neuroscience, engineering, or medicine. And many here come to these conversations also with serious seekers as well as serious researchers. So it's my distinct honor tonight to welcome Dr. Laxmidhar Behera, known in the devotional community as Leela Purushottam Prabhu, to Stanford Conscious Living. Dr. Behera is the director of the Indian Institute of Technology, Mandi, a position he's held since 2022, and also senior professor of electrical engineering at IIT Kanpur. He earned his PhD in electrical engineering from IIT Delhi and his postdoctoral work at the German National Research Center for Information Technology. Over a research and teaching career that's spanned nearly 3 decades, he's made foundational contributions in intelligent systems and control, vision-based robotics, warehouse automation, brain-computer interfaces, and drone technology. He's the recipient of the National Systems Gold Medal of the Systems Society of India and is a fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering. But what makes him most uniquely suited to this conversation tonight is what he's built alongside of his engineering career. His research group also studies consciousness biomarkers under the administration of anesthesia, quantum models of perception in the brain, and the therapeutic impact of Indian classical music, mantra, and yoga on individuals suffering from stress and psychic disorders. He's the founder of Bhaktivedanta University in Vrindavan, which is dedicated to the Indian knowledge system, where he has established a 75-acre campus serving some 400 students, and also runs a free girls' school. Very few people in the world are qualified to both build warehouse automation robots in the morning and teach the Bhagavad Gita in the evening. Tonight, we get the rare privilege here at Stanford of asking him what he has learned from doing that. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Laxmidhar Behera.
Thank you, Professor Chuck Ashley, and all the guests who are here on this evening. I'm pretty happy to be with you today, and I find many of you are just standing. I hope there is some arrangement for chairs. I don't know how that will happen. But okay, so yes, I will cover very briefly what is that we are doing at IIT Mandi on consciousness studies. In fact, after I joined IIT Mandi as the director, I started a center called Indian Knowledge Systems and Mental Health Applications. And this center now has more than 60 researchers over the last 4 years. And we are doing some of the foundational work to establish a deeper science behind our underlying experience. So the So of course we are. You can sit here. Of course, all of you know what is consciousness. All those who are connoisseur of Bhagavad Gita, then you recognize, for example, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Nainam Chindanti Sastrani, Nainam Dharati Pavaka, Nainam Sosayanti Apaha, Nainam Kledanti Apaha, Nainam Sosayanti Maruta. That means all that is written, it is immutable, immovable, indestructible, unburnt, uncut, unweighed. So what is this consciousness? It's something that represents you, the proper I, that wants to know itself. And when I cognize myself in my original blissful form, I feel at peace. I am in joy. And I know the purpose for which I exist. So this, of course, this is a very deeper subject, but today I am going to talk to you. I will skip many of these things because then they will take my time. Some foundational concepts. You see, within science, we try to explain consciousness and mind to be emergence of physical configuration of matter. At some point of matter, at a specific physical configuration, would demonstrate mind-like behavior or conscious-like behavior. But, so this is the physicalist view. Perceptual space emerges from physical space. Whereas the Bhagavad Gita and allied literature like Upanishads, they would say the perceptual space gives rise to physical space. It's just the opposite. Just to explain to you how this is, we know, for example, the building in which you are sitting now was existing within the idea or in the perceptual space of those who were building this campus, and that also further evolved in the perceptual space of the architect, and finally it accumulated the bricks, the wood, and other things to take this shape. So always the ideas that are generated, they are at a more subtler level within our perceptual space, and then they take a shape. This, I can speak a lot about it, but let us come to a little bit of science. Normally, how science works is that we want to explain a phenomenon, then we always believe there is a locality. Scientific phenomena, they follow the local behavior. For example, if I drop a perfume here, and this perfume, if Balram Leela is smelling before Leslie, then it's kind of non-local. That means the normal intuition is that this would affect its neighborhood, then its neighborhood, and so forth, and it percolates. So non-locality has many aspects of reality. If I say Professor Leslie is here, simultaneously he is there in his office, also in his house, in India, in America, in all places, then if that is possible, and that is also a non-local behavior. And if you look at the consciousness, qua consciousness paradigm, then the consciousness simultaneously is present in every cell of the body. This is a non-local behavior. And how do we bring it within the scientific paradigm? I'm going to discuss a little bit about that. So we already know that, let me skip many things here so already we know that for non-locality, the Nobel Prize went, I think 3-4 years back to Zeilinger from Austria, that two quantum objects, when they're entangled and then you separate them, and then if you are measuring one, you know what is the other one. So non-local, because once something is non-local, then all those scientific laws or physical laws that follow the locality would be invalid. So this is something that we have to recognize. And remote viewing, this is a concept that CIA Stargate project at some point of time, and satellites were not having abundance to figure out where are the enemies and so forth. They employed remote viewing. In fact, in IIT Mandi, I invited Martin Fleming, who is an expert in remote viewing, and he gave 4 or 5 sessions to our faculty members. And after some sessions, they could draw the target, which neither they have seen nor Martin Fleming knows what is the target. But this is something that demonstrable. But how this is happening, for example, synchronicity, also a topic that Carl Jung, is one of the best psychiatrists of the 20th century, the Swiss psychiatrist, and Pauli, the Nobel laureate, they together worked. What is this synchronicity? For example, you love someone and you are thinking of that beloved one, and suddenly you get a phone call exactly at that time. So, Stuart,
Laxmidhar, good to see you, man.
nice to see you. So these things are already being there, and then what we recently did is that we took this non-locality to explain the flock of birds. For example, when birds are flocking together, for example, you see that you as a group, you have gone to a mela or where a big crowd is there, then you don't look at the neighbor, you look at your group member, where are they? So when I'm not looking at my neighbor, then the dynamics becomes a kind of a non-locality. So this is, for example, these are all agents, and this is the visual cone, and the visual cone, there can be multiple agents, and based on your perceptual space, how many agents are there, accordingly you develop a group dynamics. For example, I belong to this group or that group. I will follow this agent or not follow this agent. So this kind of idea we try to capture using superposition. For example, there are 2 agents in your visual cone that you would like to focus. They are flying together. So you can say they are not of my group, so I don't follow both of them. I follow one of them and not the other, and so forth, or I follow both. Sometimes, and of course 3, and if there are n neighbors, then 2 to the power n possibilities are there, and you also can look at the entangled. That is, you have 2 neighbors, then the entangled is this one. You follow both of them or not follow, or you follow either of them. So these are all possibilities. And then, so what is that I'm trying to tell you? For example, when we act in a group, there are decisions are happening in the perceptual space, and these decisions are based on my identity with my group, and I create a Hilbert space in which my decisions are placed, and then how those decisions in the perceptual space percolate through my chain of hierarchy of existence from consciousness, mind, and the physical space, and finally the action is executed at the ground. So that is, the bird has to set up its own momentum, its own direction. So all those things, how they work. So you have a perception operator that operates on this decision space, and then we average out, So this is the hypothesis. This is my perception operator operating on my Hilbert space of decisions, and then you average it out and you say they are the change of your momentum. So this is the hypothesis, and based on this hypothesis, we figured out the popular Bishop model. In a specific condition, we could derive it. So that is, this is our quantum decision in the perceptual space, and in the physical space, this is the popular Bishop model that we could derive. And based on that, we saw how the talking is generated, and then we talked about the one very important measure of such is perception strength, reflects how strongly agents align with the flock based on their perceptual evaluation across spatial dimension. So what we did is that we further improved this model because there is in the previous one we had only one category of birds. They are flocking together. But imagine, in a river side, in a pond side, there are very varieties of birds, heterogeneous community, and they are, let's say, swimming, and you throw a stone and then they fly away, again making formation. So how do they do it? For example, you can see these are all different groups. So this red bird has to figure out where are other red birds are there, and then he or she follows these red birds, right? And the green birds will follow the green, and so forth. So here again, we have improved that particular model, and what we have done here is that so you can see here, for example, two neighbor case. Earlier we just had fixed coefficients, and those probability amplitudes square root, a square summation would be 1. But now we define some similarity measure, and for every possibilities we gave or we figured out what should be the coefficient probability amplitude, and based on that this model was further improved, and density matrix, this one is the density matrix, and earlier the previous model, the density matrix was not changing. That means your the agent is flocking or flying, but in his in the Hilbert space his decisions are fixed. But now we made it much more practical and allowed this state with respect to its group changing, which is more practical. And with that, these are all details I don't want to. So this is again the how the Hilbert space with the perception operator on an average goes to the rate of change of the momentum. So this dynamics was derived, and you can see here we are. So this is we are actually we have already because we understood how this works. Now we are implementing on the real drones. Okay, and once that work is done, then we will present it to the to suitable journals. Okay, so in fact that work that you saw, it has been published Proceedings of Royal Society, plus we have written the new work for further publication. Now So here is non-locality. I talked to you. One kind of non-locality where we don't follow our immediate neighbors, but follow the neighbor that matters, right? And we allowed our decisions to be represented by the Hilbert space or within the Hilbert space. So now I go to a little different research work, and in fact, when Stuart visited IIT Mandi, I was really inspired by his work in anesthesia, and we started doing some work in anesthesia to understand the conscious biomarker. But what is interesting here is we understood some non-local behavior here, and that's what I was going to explain to you. What is that non-local behavior, and it requires more research on this. But this work that I am going to present, we had already a couple of publications on this. So can anybody say what is that you are seeing there?
Parakeet.
Bird is flying. Everybody agrees? Okay. And what about this?
Deer.
Deer is there, right? So this is called, all of us, we have ignored the big, one of the biggest, everywhere they are there, but we don't take notice of it. And they are actually the conscious entities, right? 82% of Earth's biomass consists of plants. Overlooking the plants over animals, plants serve animal kingdom silently. Okay. And you can see here, when we did this work and we submitted to journals, many journals, they didn't review this paper because they said plants don't have nervous system and hence they are not conscious. Okay. So, but we don't agree with that. So this is already known that how the plants communicate with each other through the root. And so you can see here, this is the root brain. There is a literature within Indian tradition called Vriksha Ayurveda, and there the roots have been taken or has been described as it is similar performance that the way our brain functions, right? And I will skip these details on this, but let me explain little more what we did actually. So we, in this you can see this one, there was in the root of tomato plant. In fact, we have done this research both in the root of the tomato plant as well as C. elegans. Both we have done. I am going to present you what we got in tomato plant. Exactly similar feature we got in C. elegans. So with no anesthesia, you can see the images of the nucleus, and they are almost kind of random. If you look at their structure is random, right? And so when you apply the general anesthesia, something very interesting is happening. You can look at here. This is nucleus, and within the nucleus, these are all small strands of chromatins carrying DNA. And you can see here, under the stress stressful situation, that means when anesthesia is administered, the plant is under stress, and these nucleus, they have an ordered behavior, and the chromatins within the nucleus, they come to the periphery and circumambulate the nucleus. And what we found, interestingly, there are many things that are destroyed. For example, mitochondria, chloroplast, many things you can see here. Mitochondria, microtubules were also disturbed, chloroplast. So many things they were destroyed, many organelles they were destroyed. And what we further found, that if you keep this for 4 hours, oh, that's not there. So if what we found is that if you keep this anesthesia for 4 hours, then there is a rupture in the chromatins and nucleus enters into death. That means nucleus dies. If you increase beyond 4 hours, then the cell death starts, and if it is more than 40% death, then we saw that plant dies. But if you take away the effect of anesthesia, and then if less than 40% cell death is there, something extraordinary happened, is that there is regeneration. All the organelles that died within the cells, they are regenerated. And we are now setting up a patch clamp system to see the signaling at every. Stuart has figured out, he has proposed probably microtubules where the signature of consciousness. But this research is showing us probably these chromatids carrying these DNA strands, they, so as I told you, the non-locality, because regeneration is happening, that means signaling is simultaneously, the consciousness is present in all of these entities, and the signaling is happening simultaneously. We have to, this is our hypothesis, but we have to verify this. So you see here, so what you are seeing here, this is the neuron. Within the neuron, these small, these will not be visible into naked eyes, very small strands of chromatins carrying the DNA. These are all very small strands, and they are all randomly situated within the nucleus, right? And we were trying to figure out how they come. Because of certain signaling, they come during the stress situation and circumambulate the periphery of the nucleus. So how that happens?
What kind of anesthesia? General anesthesia? What kind? A gas?
Yeah, correct.
In the gas phase, or the liquid drop of it in the sample?
Yeah, the gas.
In the gas phase?
Yeah. Okay. That's also done. Anyway, so you can see here the in the model that we showed this, how this is happening. again we introduced a non-local force, and based on that we are able to explain this. But still more work is necessary, and so this is all details of causal structure of fading consciousness. So there are two publications, one in chemical and biomedical imaging, the other is advanced biology, and this is, the very first work on figuring out what is death, right? So when you allow something to die, what is exactly happening? And it is very important because when we do study in consciousness, we always ask the question, what survives death? And we have done the similar experiment on the C. elegans, and whatever we found in the plant, exactly same thing is replicated. That is also in the process of communication. How much time I should take?
5-10 minutes.
5-10 minutes, good. So, this is a very pet subject of Stuart, extrasensory perception. I ran a Gurukul, as Coach said. So, where around 30 students have been trained in, you blindfold them and they can still see, they can still write. Okay, for example, here this is the Raj Tilak, and we have shown him a picture while he is blindfolded, and they can see her. So he's saying this is Jagannath, right? We have, this is a picture of kangaroo. So like that it goes on, right? So we, while subjecting all these situation to him, we collected both EEG signal and this high probe megahertz signal.
You should explain this as megahertz, which is radio waves coming out of the brain, which is supposed to be impossible.
Right, you are right. And so this is the real brain signal, and this is megahertz signal. And what is interesting is that we did over 30 subjects, and this is how you open your eyes and give them words, numbers, images, and look at the EEG and the megahertz signal, and then you blindfold them and repeat the same experiment, and again look at the signals, right? So with eyes I see things, and without eye I figure out, and based on that, so you can see here the p-value for EEG signal. You can see these are frontal lobe, temporal, parietal, central, occipital. So at somewhere the p-values are significant and somewhere they are not significant. But in contrast, in megahertz, where is that p-values? Yeah, you can see it, very significant p-values. That means the megahertz signal is able to capture the essence of the perception better than the, of course, still work is going on. This is the last slide that I would like to explain here. This is a simple, there is a idea of perception of time, right? For example, there is already a psychological experiment where you derive what is the error in your time perception. And what the experiment is about it, that if we lower our sense of agency, that means I am doing things, right? Or I am an instrument of doing things. There are two different ideas. One is that you think that you are the doer. The other is that you are able to feel that you are not the doer, but you are an instrument. There are two different psychological conditions. And this experiment showed that when we are actually in the consciousness of not the doer, the error in time perception reduces significantly. Whereas when you have a sense of doership, time perception, the error is more. So this was just a little thing. Before I conclude, this is our ICMA Center at IIT Mandi. Theme is Mind, Brain and Consciousness Integrated Study, right? And so where we talk about consciousness, meditation, yoga, performing arts, Ayurveda, and we look for biosynthesis for consciousness, laws of psychology, origin of cognitive matter, and many such foundational work we do. So conclusion is, perceptual space being very subtle cannot possibly be explored by classical methods. Non-locality is one of the strong scientific ideas by which we can study subtle and gross interaction, mind and matter interaction. How do they do? So study of gross and subtle interaction will lead to development of psychological traits or biological organism. The conscious biomarkers that will be valuable in therapeutic applications can be developed through gross and subtle interaction. Ultimate goal is to show that the physical space is the emergence of the perceptual space, an ITS idea. Thank you.
So I want to open up to questions, but before we open up to questions, I thought I'd ask a few of my own to get us warmed up. I saw there was at least one student here from MSNE, so there's actually a faculty member there, PK To, who's doing some work on similar models to predict markets.
Right.
Markets. So,
That is, in fact, it's a good application of these ideas. Markets.
Yeah. So
markets, social networks.
Yeah.
Many of these things, cyber security, these whatever the ideas we have taken here to explain the flocking of the birds, extendable to these areas.
Fascinating. So I was going to ask a personal question actually as an opener. So you direct one of India's premier engineering institutes and also founded a university dedicated to the Indian knowledge system, as you just explained. Was there a moment for you when the scientist and the devotee had to reconcile, or have they always been the same inquiry?
You see, you have to have certain experience, innate experience, that makes you think beyond science. When I was 8-year-old, in my house, wherever my house, there was a road, and beyond the road, there was an open field. And I was a school-going student. And suddenly, at some point of time, I found one specific Baba came there, and the local tribal population became his follower. And the field was buzzing with varieties of devotional activities. And the amazing thing is that these tribal people, they gave up intoxication, they gave up meat eating, and they all became his follower. And one day, the Baba took all of them through his dream. He was guided too deep into the jungle, and there are 3 conjoined trees, and they cut it, and they figured out within that there is Lord Shiva's linga. And it was a very big impression on me when I was a child. So, and that really reinforced within me that the empirical observation that we have goes beyond the material perception to other extrasensory perception. So this has been part of my journey. So if you think you are a scientist, you need to be also open-minded. There are other possibilities. So I don't close my eyes that this is the only way the science should work.
So this leads very well into my next question, which was going to be about a classic thought experiment from Frank Jackson, the scientist Mary.
Yeah.
You may have heard of this before. Mary is the scientist who knows every physical fact there is to know about color vision, but has lived her whole life in a black and white room. When she finally sees red, does she learn something new, is the thought experiment. And so if yes, is there something about experience that physical and computational methods or descriptions miss? So I wonder, how does this thought experiment land for you, and does it help to draw a line between what AI systems can model and what they cannot?
You said that what AI can do and what AI cannot do, we have to be very clear. What AI does is input its data. Let's give a simple open-ended problem that we knew within AI, and people think that it has been solved, but I think it has not been solved. That is, you take a physics book, right, and take a chapter. Don't allow the machine to access any data. Okay, that is the physics book. So let us say the mechanics of solids, the chapter, and you make the machine to read that chapter. Machine can ask you any question to understand the concept, you can give it, but don't allow it any data. Okay, and look at the problem at the end. I can give you guarantee that machine cannot solve the problems at the end of the chapter. Machine solves all those problems because those kind of solutions are already there, right? So, and this has nothing to do with the qualia, the question that you posed. I'm saying simply a mechanistic procedural thing based on concept. I don't think even the current AI is able to solve it. Can solve it. It's a huge data driven. Everywhere you collect the data, you look at the similar solutions that are there, and then you manipulate, right? So imagine there is no data. Where is it? It doesn't exist. But mind exists beyond data. So that is the answer to this very thought experiment. So current AI, its heart is data. Remove the data, AI would collapse. It will simply collapse. But my mind will still exist without the sensory data. Mind still exists. Yeah.
Let me ask one more, and then I'll turn it over to you all for audience Q&A. So for a Stanford student training transformers this afternoon, what should change in how they think about the system that they're building or the intersection of AI and consciousness?
Okay. Let me tell you I started my PhD in 1991, 91 to 95 I did my PhD. And you will see that I have papers published that time. What we call now is generative AI. Right? So what is generative AI? You imagine there is a black box there and you give the data here. And you want to know whether this is a cat or a dog or a human. So unlimited data are here and you want to categorize this. This is called representation. So given X, what is Y? We call it a representation. Now the next question is, given Y, what is X? That is what is generation, right? So generative AI. That means if I say African cat, it should give me the image of African cat. Okay. This exact problem, in the control system robotics, I had already published this in 3-4 journals, but we could not extend to a bigger problem because of the lack of computation and so forth. So if you look at whether it is transformer, one of the current AI, the modern AI that we are talking about, it is not because of we have really understood the inner cognitive engineering. It is because of the brute force of computation. We have been able to bring in very high level architecture, huge architecture, and huge computation, and it is computation intensive model. And then we are talking about transformer, large language model, kind of, as if the thing. But as an AI scientist, I would like to caution people that whether this model is sustainable. Right? We were in LA, they were telling that there is a problem of water. Right? They are finding people if they are washing their cars and then watering their lawns because there is no water. Right? But imagine how many gallons of water we are using to cool these data centers. Okay? And we are going on, we are not putting any barrier in terms of, because we are so greedy that we are just going on increasing the size of the architectures, because we know GPUs are there, NVIDIA is becoming fatter, and that's all. But we should take the sustainability that nature has embedded. The AI has not come today because various domain people have really worked on different data. They understand this data. They have observed this data. Right? But my question to you, how much you have observed yourself? So this is very important. We hardly observe ourselves. We try to give so much importance to the data that are being generated through different kind of sensors and so forth. But we also need to practice something by which we can really experience what is mind. Right?
Yes.
If mind is known, why people are so sick today? Why mental problem has become a great pandemic? Even the big celebrities are suffering because there is a lack of knowledge about the self. We need to. I just give you, today only I read a paper by Kothari. He had published in 1973 in a medical journal. And the paper is about a person who is practicing, right, his breath and yoga and so forth. He withdrew his consciousness from his body. And the medical doctors, according to the symptoms, they declared he's clinically dead. But the yogi, after some time, again brought out his consciousness and spread it throughout his body and his life. Right?
Yes.
And there are so many people can do this and exhibit it. So, what you think death at the current moment, simply heart rate stops, or heartbeat stops, lungs malfunctions, but there are many, because according to our ancient knowledge system, death is not heartbeat stops. Death is the consciousness leaves the body. Right?
Yes.
So, if I see, there are two paradigms. Neither that is proved nor this is proved. But this is experienced.
Yes.
Okay? This is many, at least one person also is experiencing. You have to take it very seriously, that. Right? So even, see, for example, this and this, they are not same, although they are same. This is matter, this is matter. But with matter there is mind, over mind there is consciousness. Matter collapses, mind still stays. Mind collapses, still consciousness stays. There is a hierarchy of cognition. So these are the things that are existing, people have practiced, and when you sit with them, you learn a lot. So I would request that all of you who are so having brightest mind, give some time to yourself. Okay?
Yes.
Practicing what we are is very important. And practicing or discerning what I am from what I am not is also a science.
Yes, I agree. Like I read the Bhagavad Gita like 2 years ago. I think what you said is basically chapter 6, right? Meditation. And when I read the Bhagavad Gita, I can know from within that it's a much more sound argument about what consciousness is. But when I think about it in scientific terms, like for example, like we said, like if we try to replicate the human brain by a machine learning model or whatever the latest AI model is, I still struggle to find the missing link.
So,
how
for
to
example,
explain,
Professor asked me this question about Mary's experiment, right? See, one of the very important aspects of, we are giving so much of importance saying AI has actually modeled consciousness, but what is the identity of this AI? What is identity?
So people argue that when you talk with
No, what is identity? I'm asking you, don't say people.
No. So
You,
in
all of us, we have developed these algorithms.
Yes.
Okay, because you are, I would. Okay. This is, we do it, right? And you think, for example, here, this robot is given a list of 10 items. This was a word long back, 2016, when we participated in Amazon Robotics Challenge, when this buzz was not there, right? LLM has not come. And so you see that simply using a Kinect camera, the robot is able to understand these list of items where are there in the rack, right?
Yes.
And if how do we do it? How robot does it? There are varieties of components. I'm just simply looking at the control component. Right, there is perception, visual perception, object identification, and then there is manipulation, right? I'm talking about manipulation. How we do it. For example, here, when I do manipulate, my hand has to be stable. If it is vibrating, I can't manipulate, right? So for stability, we assume or we assign an energy to the system, which is called, you don't have to worry about it. This is called Lyapunov energy or Lyapunov function. And if you assign an energy with a system, that energy, rate of change of that energy must be negative definite for the system to be stable. Okay? So the rate derivative of that energy is this. Right? Now, my student in Razno, he came and told me, I don't know how to figure out what is P dot and D dot. Right? And we sat together and we figured out what is P dot D dot based on certain amount of experience that we have in learning, how we learn. So we hypothesized this, and I told him, you please take this, put it here, take this, put it there, and show me if B dot is negative definite. Right? And then same thing this doesn't work. Anyway, so the robot will follow the ping ball without any problem. So what I was telling is that when robot is doing activities, we simply program these equations. Robot doesn't know the conceptual background. Now, for example, in this current context, what happens? Now, robot, the data, the algorithm accesses to this data, how these algorithms have been developed. If there is a similar situation, there are multiple researchers are working, and it generalizes and may give you answer. But you don't give these things to the robot. Robot cannot figure out. Okay, try to understand this.
No.
We create this AI system. First of all, AIs are not, they are simply data derivative. Their power is coming from data.
Yes.
I don't think they understand the concepts the way you understand it or I understand it.
Yes.
Okay, so what I was telling is the sense of agency. Where you will try, where you will ascribe. Okay, does the AI has a sense of agency, or the sense of agency is projected because there are various researchers, they have put their data on the public dashboard, and those conscious projections in the form of data is being manipulated through different architecture, and then you feel like AI is doing it.
Yes, but cannot we
Let's
say this?
get one or two more
Yeah.
questions in from others. I saw a hand here.
Hi.
Yeah.
And,
Listen, earlier you were talking about when
Right.
it's thought to be impossible because the brain is too warm, wet, and noisy. Nonetheless, in the last 2 years, many examples of warm temperature Bose-Einstein condensation has been shown in the literature in various systems. Warm temperature in organic aromatic molecules, including the room temperature gel from your friend and mine, Anirban Banjapadia, which is in nanotechnology recently. And as you know, he's building an organic room temperature or a polymer gel-based quantum computer at your institute, which will supposedly be unveiled in June at the conference that we're going to, including my colleague Joseph Jaggs here. And so what can you tell us about this would have the advantage of not requiring a lot of energy like the LLM and data centers that are going to consume everything. These are because the brain works on 30 watts. So what can you tell us about the organic brain jelly quantum computer to be unveiled at IIT Monday in June?
Thank you. What Professor Stuart Hamrock is saying, we are recently given a big research funding at IIT Mandi. MIT has given 1,000 million INR to develop a gel-based neuromorphic quantum computer. Just to answer to that question, whether this is possible or not, just recently we have submitted a paper where we are showing that the firing of the brain, right? The data that are already there, and we looked at the statistical pattern of firing of the brain follows a Schrodinger wave equation, right? So what does that mean is that there is a hierarchy. So there are energy hierarchy. So higher level of energy is actually making the brain to fire in a particular way. So
Higher frequency maybe.
Yeah,
And this is the
yeah.
time crystal paper
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Donovan wrote with me.
Yeah, right. So these are all possible. So as far as a gel-based computer, what Professor Hamroff is saying, I would like to inform you that we already have in the process of setting 16-channel gel-based computer. It is almost hopefully will be demonstrated very soon. And with the funding, we are going to establish 64-channel gel-based quantum neuromorphic computer. Yes.
You have a question? Okay.
Yeah, there.
So earlier in your remarks, you mentioned Lord Shiva, which is affiliated with Hinduism. Obviously, you're based in India, but well-traveled. To you, is IKS tightly linked to any one religion? Yes or no? Hinduism, other religions?
Oh, no, we don't see, as far as this, when I was 8-year-old, when I saw this, it made an impression on me. I was only simply telling that. Because, when you notice certain things, it makes an impression on you and it stays, right? So when, extrasensory perception, this blindfolded thing that we did, is somebody is able to read and write, even paint, being blindfolded. That means there is, what the hypothesis here, mind can directly work without the assistance of the lower level of hierarchy which is there within the body. So that is the point that and as far as IKS is concerned, there are many such ideas are there in all traditions. It is not only the Hindu tradition, it is there in Jain tradition, Buddhism tradition. There are so many traditions which is there, and reincarnation is a way of life, is a value system. But the karma theory is a value system that has come. That is one of the things that we have to, like for example, the work of Stewart, when it shows that consciousness is non-computable, and based on the objective orchestrated objective reduction theory that he and Rosa Penrose have floated, these ideas, at least we have to accept the idea that there is something irreducible is existing. And if it is existing, it must be beyond time or timeless. And we have to be open up and bring those observations into the cohesive framework of understanding the nature, including the self.
One last question.
Thank you so much. So I wanted to ask, have you read the dialogues of Krishnamurti and Paul?
Yes, I have not read it, but I have heard about it.
So what is it, so the stance, like I was saying, that would be maybe like the intro into this, or what, to bridge the gap and have like, that's like the golden bridge between science and then,
Consciousness.
consciousness, yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is, so there are many theories theories now that consciousness was ever present, right?
Yes,
It's only now that we're tapping,
yeah.
and now that we're able to perceive it or measure it or like see it as if AI was always there, you know, like ether or whatever, right? And I mean now we as humans are able to decipher. So what is your position on that? What do you think?
You see that AI, if you look at even the history of AI, it goes to, within the Western tradition, it goes to Roman Lull, who established or he built a machine in, I think, 17th century or 16th century, who was a Christian priest. He was earlier a courtier in Paris king, and then because of certain reason he became a priest and he established. So the idea of AI comes from the idea within that manifests outside. So what I am trying to reinforce is that more we understand the cognitive processes within, you can bring out a better AI.